Joining me once again is the Menifee Maniac, Fernando Gonzalez, who's getting ready to fight next October the 4th at ACA 100 against Abubaker Vagaev. How you doing, Fernando?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just getting done with practice, getting through some traffic to get to the interview, but we're good, man. I'm home and I'm happy.
You know, it's been a long time since I've talked to you. Too long, in fact. How has life been? Anything new to report outside of just the day-to-day MMA training?
Uh, you, just being back on schedule. Last year I fought, um, or really I've only fought. Now I'm on. This is gonna be my third fight, but for 9 months we were sitting out just waiting for ACA to kick back in, or it was ACB. So they kind of had us all on standby for a little bit for the guys that are in the States. And yeah, but now it's consistent every 4 months. I know when I'm fighting, and just something about that, it makes me really happy, man, because when you don't, this is my passion, and when you don't know what's coming up next, it kind of puts a little damper in the mood, you know?
Yeah, no doubt. So tell us a little bit about what your current contract situation is right now.
So I signed a 4-fight deal. I just fought in Poland. I lost a decision to them, to Elias Silverio. Now that he was a UFC fighter too, I think he was 6-2 or 6-3, something like that in the UFC. And all the fights that he lost were like high level guys, and he was doing really well against those guys. But it was good, man. I went in there with like same thing, just I threw my strikes, and as soon as I connected, he kind of felt it. I landed a really good body shot, and then after that, he was shooting, doing his takedowns, and I was able to get up and scramble to my feet about 3 times, but that fourth and fifth, definitely felt the fatigue started to kick in. So obviously, my next opponent, he's like a Khabib with high level striking, so I'm sure he saw that, and I've been drilling and training my ass off to make sure that I get up every single time and break him down.
Looking back on this Silverio fight, your most recent loss here, is there something specifically that you can point to? Is it just a conditioning thing, or maybe you just gassed out towards the end?
It ended up being I did some things wrong and he did some things right. There's a couple things that I felt I could have done a little bit different, and it's just stuff that if you haven't kind of like brushed it up, and like I said, I was off for almost a year, so the fight that I did have was pretty much all stand up against shoot, I can't even remember his name right now, but
Gabriel Checo.
Gabriel Checo. And so with him, I had to make sure I kept distance and get in, get out. So it was a little less grappling than this my last fight. So the ground wasn't really refreshed. I was working it, but it wasn't the same. And I wasn't really expecting him to try to take me down too much. So I did some training to get up, but I didn't do enough. So for now, it's like I said, I'm staying in the gym. I know when I'm fighting, and I'm getting myself ready. Obviously, training with Dan Henderson's. We got a lot of high level wrestlers, and I'm grinding away to make sure all those muscles are ready and conditioned.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm not used to saying this, but you've lost 3 of your last 4 fights. Does that give you a more pressure or more motivation in camp to really make sure you get in there and get this win?
Every fight's I'm trying to win. I don't go into a fight trying to lose ever. Or thinking that I'm going to lose. I always have in my head that I can beat these guys. So, some of those fights, I just got a little away from me, but, I don't know. I never felt that I was too far out of the fight. So, just little things that as a martial artist, you got to tweak and just become better, So every fight I'm getting better, and, I learned from some of this stuff. So, for me, definitely the traveling, the traveling and then cutting, it was something that I had to kind of get used to and acclimate. I felt a little better this time around. I don't know why this shit happens to me, but they ended up shutting down our sauna the day of weigh-ins. So like the workout room, everything. So I had to cut like everything in the tub, and it definitely drained me. So I know that played a factor in the last couple get-ups, but you know, it's just things that you have to kind of deal with and roll with as a fighter. So some guys, you know, guys from overseas came in to fight me, so I can kind of have to relate and adjust to what they've had to go through.
Now, you mentioned training and being at Dan Henderson's gym. I got to ask you about the big guy there, heavyweight Jared Vanderaa. How's he looking leading up to his big fight?
He looks good, man. Jared is, well, he's like a big kid, you know, but so he's always happy and excited to get in there and train. Man, he's tough. So I've been working with him a lot, like in the past, even for the Gabriel Checo, he was helping me get ready size-wise and stuff like that. But man, he's getting nastier and nastier where I'm like, I don't know if I want to go with you anymore. His positioning and he's a big dude. So right. some of those days I'm definitely the nail, you know, I'm always the nail now. So I'm like, shit, you know, it's good. It's good for training really, but he's a big dude.
What does he walk around at?
I think like 275 or some shit like that. Is 265. He's big, yeah. And then he's cutting.
Right. What's the heaviest you get in between camps when you're at your heaviest point?
About 205 now. 205. Yeah, I'm back down to 70, so I'll get up to 205, 200, and then like I said, man, they're giving me 4 months in between, so it gives me the like all right after a month of kind of slacking off a little bit, and then I'll get back to the grind and back to it.
Now, I got to be honest with you, man. It is kind of disappointing for me not to turn on the TV or watch the DAZN app and see you fighting for Bellator. You were just one of their veterans for quite some time, and you had so many classic fights for them. Is there ever going to be any reunion down the line, or is this just something that's just not going to happen at this point?
If they had different guys running the show, then I would say yeah. But they started, I think, in my opinion, I mean, I'm not going to say that I didn't miss weight. I missed weight, you know, but they also helped me miss weight on some of those where it was like I could have made the weight and they changed the times. Yeah. So that started making me look worse. So I said, if they're going to kind of make me look bad as a fighter, then it doesn't make sense to stay with a company that's willing to do that. So, and it cost me 10,000, so 5,000 and 5,000. So that didn't make me happy. So when I spoke out, when I said what I did, was because I already had in my head that I wasn't going to be with them anymore. And I think it needed to be put out there that they're doing shady shit and it's not right. I think they should let the fighter fight. And if he wins, he wins, or if he loses, but not by outside interference.
I got to get your thoughts on a couple of fights as well for Bellator. You fought and beat Brandon Gertz in the past, and he just had a war earlier this year with Syed Awad. Just talk about how good of a fight that was and how you think that compares to maybe being fight of the year.
You know, the thing with Gertz is that guy comes to fight no matter what. I just knew like to fight him, I had to break him down. But shit, it took a while, you know, that kid was, and he's a lighter weight class, you know what I mean? So, for me, I was surprised, but once he was landing his shots, I didn't feel the same amount of power. You know, I've fought heavy guys. So, I knew once it landed and I was able to roll through it, I was going to be able to walk him down and break him down. Him and Syed, man, I was actually at the fight, so it was cool to see. I'm glad he's doing what he's doing, man. He's getting better and better, and I don't see him not being able to compete for the title soon. You know, I think he'll be in line for that title soon.
No, that's cool to hear. I like both of those fighters. They always bring it, much like yourself. Now, the Bellator Welterweight Grand Prix Championship will be at some point down the line. The date hasn't been announced yet, but who's your pick between Rory McDonald and Douglas Lima?
I think the second time around, I think Lima will actually get his hand raised. I felt he won the first fight. He did way more damage. I was at that fight also. That's when they were announcing me against Lorenz. And so I was there live and I was hearing the cracks. I was hearing everything. When Rory got on top, not much damage was done. When Lima got on top, he was doing damage. So for me, with the striking, and even though like he got taken down a couple times, it wasn't enough for them to have given it to Rory, but they obviously paid him a good amount of money. So didn't make sense for them to give him the loss and go that route right off the bat, you know. So I think they kind of, like I said, there's outside sources that if it's gonna go one way, let's gear this way, you know. And I think that's what happened. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think that's right. The fighters should be able to determine it. And I thought Lima definitely did enough to win that fight.
Yeah, I recently interviewed John Fitch, and he's still pissed about the scorecard when he fought Rory McDonald. He felt he won that fight as well, and that was a very close one. But you never leave it to the hands of the judges. You just don't know what they're looking for. I got to also get your thoughts on the big UFC event this Saturday, UFC 241. For my money, one of the biggest fight cards of the year, just specifically for the main and co-main event. Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier rematching, and then Nate Diaz and Anthony Pettis. Just tell me who you think wins and why.
You know, I would say Stipe would win if he would have stayed consistent, but I think the timing, your timing is off a little bit. If you're anything that's over 6 months, your timing's going to be off a little bit. And Cormier is not the kind of guy you want to have that short timing off. You know, even if I don't think it's going to be all striking. I do see DC getting him on his back, and then him having to work to get back up to his feet. Stipe is not bad wrestling. Obviously, he's good at what he does, but we really haven't seen him off his back. So, or getting taken down, getting back up, getting taken down, getting back. You know, all that stuff, it breaks you down. And at that weight, I don't know. I think Cormier is going to take it again. But just because of the lack of training or lack of competing, and obviously Nate Diaz and Anthony Pettis, you know, Pettis is riding on a high right now. So, you know, I would probably lean towards Pettis for the same reason that Diaz hasn't fought, you know, and the timing might be, I want Diaz to win. I like Diaz, but to be honest, I you know, because we fought on cards before together in WEC. So for me, my you know, I want him to win, but I kind of see similar fight with how he got beat by Thompson, Josh Thompson with that head kick.
Yeah.
I see that similar because they don't really check kicks, and they kind of lean away or they lean down. So that's when that head kick will come. So I don't know. I see him probably losing the fight by a KO kick. Wow. Maybe.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting analysis right there, and I didn't really think of that with the kick. So that's why I wanted to ask someone like yourself to give me a little information of what I should be looking at, because I'm trying to win some money on DraftKings. I finished second now twice out of 20,000 people, so I'm trying to get that first place money. You know,
in there. Where do you do that, man? I didn't even know you could. What draft picks?
DraftKings. Yeah.
DraftKings.
You got to get the app. It's totally worth it. Unfortunately, they only do UFC fights. They should be doing more, but yeah, it's just like with anything, like fantasy football. Every fighter is worth a certain amount of money, and you get a salary cap, and you just have to put together your team. So it's a lot of fun. You should check it out.
I will. Yeah. I love gambling. I have an idea for a good idea of the fighters. So
yeah,
sometimes I pick them, and then sometimes I miss all of them. But for the most part, I get the wins. But I've always actually looked into that. I'm like, shit, man, I wish I could bet on this. You know, make some money.
Well, there you go. Maybe you can have another source of income betting on these fights here. Now, let's talk a little bit about your upcoming fight. Again, October the 4th. Your opponent, very skilled. You mentioned before we went live just how good of a wrestler he is. Just talk a little bit about what you're planning on really working on in this camp.
You know, if you see my fight with Mario Zaromskis, it's very similar. Those guys just like to bang, you know what I mean? So there's certain things that I see that he leaves open. Obviously it's still a fight, so I got to try to exploit it and make sure that by the second or third, I want to get the finish in the first, but by the second and third, if I don't finish in the first, I can break him down enough to let it be known that, you know, in the judges' eyes, that they see that I won the fight. I definitely see a back and forth fight, striking, and then me trying to get back up if he shoots in, because that's typically what happens. As soon as I catch somebody or I catch them with something good, they go right to their wrestling. So that's all we've been working on. A lot of MMA, a lot of ground and pound, getting back up to our feet, getting my ass kicked on the ground, like where I'm the one getting hit, and then scrambling to get to my feet. Like I said in my last fight, there's some things that I felt I did wrong, and I'm making the corrections on this one. And so little things like that I feel, well, I feel I can beat anybody pretty much that's at my weight class. So if I do those things, I feel I get the win.
Do you feel like you're going to have a big power advantage on the feet here with this guy?
I would say about the same, because he looks like he's a little bit taller, a little bit bigger than me, but not much. I mean, like I said, I've been competing at 205, 185, so the guys that are at that weight class they're a lot bigger, muscular wise, everything. So I don't see him being that much stronger, other than maybe the speed, So I would definitely have to be dealing with more speed, getting in, getting out. But with that, with speed comes the collision. If I catch him coming in with his own speed, it's like a car accident on his chin. So that's kind of what I'm trying to time. I see him; he likes to press forward, and I do too. So I don't know. You never know exactly how the fight's gonna play out, but I see my hands touching his chin and him going down.
So you are predicting a finish for yourself. What round? Do you think it's going to be early or late?
Though, from what I'm working on right now, I'm working to get it done in the first. But he tends to gas as he's going, because he likes that pressure. So with that comes fatigue. So I'm gonna definitely help him get tired quicker, and then if I don't finish him in the first, it'll be I would say the second.
Second. Now you're in your mid 30s now, Fernando. Do you notice a little bit of training camps being harder for you, or is it becoming more of a grind, or are you still feeling, really fresh, come the following day when you're done a tough day at camp?
You know what? For a little bit, I was starting to feel it. I was starting to feel that, but the thing that kind of kicked in my head was Joe Rogan, the guys, was that Michael Chandler? These guys have been advertising that psoas machine thing to break down your psoas nerve or muscle right here, because that starts to tighten up your back, and that's what everybody's thinking. It's the back muscle, so they're consistently trying to stretch, do this for the back, and it turns out it's in the front. Your front area is so tight that it's leaning you forward, that it starts to put strain on the back nerves. So as I started kind of like it, clicked, I was starting to get tight like that. I started breaking those nerves down. And Sam Alvey, he actually has one of those psoas things. He got sponsored, so he brought it into the gym. He's just letting us use it, and I'm like little racket balls and stuff. I started working on that, breaking it down, and I've been moving way. I feel like I'm back into like my 20, 27, 26, where I'm actually moving back in that motion or speed and agility and stuff. So for a little while, it was starting to play a factor in my head, where I was like, okay, how much longer can I do this? My body's not reacting anymore. And as soon as I started breaking that down, it honestly, it's changed a lot of my game. I really do feel back like I'm in my 27, 26.
Wow.
When I was competing at that time. Yeah.
So where can you buy this? Is it just straight from a website, or can you get it on Amazon, or?
I honestly, the only way I found it was through that the Joe Rogan, they advertise it, or through Michael Chandler, because he was actually advertising on Joe Rogan's, and they both get sponsored.
Okay.
But I don't know the name of the machine. It's just it looks like a horseshoe. It looks like this, and it's like two prongs, and it's like a flat board like this, and then two prongs that come up like this, and they go right on like your hip flexor area. That's where that psoas muscle or whatever it is.
Okay.
And you're kind of going back and forth on that, and you'll feel the nerve right away, because if it's tight and you haven't stretched it, it's quite painful. But yeah, after a while you start breaking it down, loosens up, and yeah, it's a night and day, man. It's crazy.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look into this because I can feel it myself. Now that I'm getting a little bit older as well, I'll go for runs and I'm starting to tighten up when I didn't used to in the past. So I need to everything that can help me. I'm all about looking into.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if you think about it, anytime we stretch, we're always bending forward. Leaning downward dog, anything where like we're always stretching the back nerves, and then the front part is what's getting tighter because we never stretch it. I mean, unless you're kind of like where you grab your ankle and then pulling it back, but that only does so much, So and we get lazier as we get older, so we don't stretch every day. But honestly, it's something we definitely gotta. As we're getting older, we gotta focus on getting more limber because the body starts to tighten up.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, you picked yourself getting a quick finish here in this upcoming fight, October the 4th, ACA 100. You mentioned to me earlier today that people will be able to view this live on YouTube from their YouTube page, correct?
Yeah, that's even my last fight was as soon as we were done, I checked on YouTube and it's already up. So they're running them live from what I understand, and then if not, as soon as the fight's done, it's posted, it's up.
Okay.
So by the time I actually got to the room from the fight, all the fights were already up.
That's good to know. I'll have to make sure to pay attention to that. Now, moving forward, after this fight, do you think you're looking to get another fight in 2019, or are you going to be looking early 2020?
It's gonna be so every 4 months, so it would probably be in February after
Okay.
this fight. So like February, and I think that's honestly it's the best. It gives me just enough time to kind of chill with the family, hang out, and then get back to business. Because if you're just consistently grinding and beating up your body, and you're also staying away from the family, it's just gonna cause more issues and stuff like that. So for me, I think it's nice that I'm in training camp the way I am, but it gives me the time. Like this last time, we went out to Havasu. We got to hang out with her family, and just enjoyed ourselves on the lake, and we had a good time, man. So it's something that I haven't been able to do for a while, just vacation and stuff, So that was nice, and know that I had a fight in 3 months. So yeah, I'm happy right now, man. I'm super happy, and I'm excited to get back in there.
That's awesome. It's great to hear, to see you happy and to hear you verbalize that. Always one of my favorite fighters to watch compete. Anyone that's out there watching this, you can follow Fernando on Instagram and Twitter at Menifee Maniac. And again, man, before I let you go, I just want to give the floor to you. Anyone you want to thank or sponsors you have, the floor is yours.
Yeah, but just all my teammates that have been helping me get ready. Jacob Unger, Ricardo Buñuelos, Tom Galicchio, Jared, and Sam Alvey, all the guys that are in the room right now helping me grind and kick my ass a little bit, to put me in those bad situations, and that way it's not it's like second nature once I'm in that fight. So just the team, man. Thank you guys. Obviously Dan Henderson, our leader of the group, and Joe Stevenson. He brought Joe Stevenson as our head coach right now. He's been helping us a lot. The guy's got a wealth of knowledge, and it plays in good because a lot of the stuff that I already been working on, he's just adding certain things, different tools to that. Like if I had one move, he's adding 2 or 3 more tools in that same position. I'm going, oh shit. So just it's an awesome time right now because I'm consistently learning now. I'm growing, and I'm looking forward to showing some of the things I've been working on.
Nice. Well, I can't wait to see you step back in the cage. I'll be making sure to tune in on YouTube. Again, ACA 100, October the 4th. Fernando, the Menifee Maniac, will be back in the cage. Always a pleasure, buddy. Again, you're one of my favorites out there. I'm not saying that just because you're here talking to me. I just love your style. You go out there, you get after it. You're not one of those fighters that lays and prays. You go out there and look for finishes. So I'm expecting another one on October the 4th.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! I'm training my ass off. I have to get that win. Check out the shirt. Yeah, I got my new shirts, Maniac Crew. Just got them done. So, yeah, I'm pumped, dude. I'm happy right now, and for sure, bro. I'm training hard for this guy. So I know what I got in front of me, and he's definitely like a Khabib style. So I've been looking forward to fighting guys like that, just so I'm getting pushed, and it's going to show a different level of my fight game and my involvement.